So this lesson, I want to talk about click tracks and where our job, our duties as drummers is to lie with a click track. There's a million and one answers for where we think we should sit with click tracks. I believe it's what you're playing, who you're playing with, and the sort of track you're playing with. When I was a young boy, when I first heard a click track, I think it was on like an old Akai MPC 2000 or something, and I first heard a click and I went, it was quite frightening because it was kind of, I've got to stick with that. That was a frightening thought. So now it's the opposite to me. I get quite stimulation out of playing with a click track because you can move around a click. If you ask any experienced drummer, you can move around a click. You're in charge. So it's just down to how the mental state of mind, really. So I've played with click a long time, and what I used to do when I was younger was put the click track on, just playing a 4/4, and then I would sort of just go, and I'd practice going against the beat. So I'd literally play a beat and go across the click. Just silly things so that you just get used to this click mentality. Now, that's fine. Staying in time with the click is one thing. Being which side of it and making that decision is the other thing. For example, playing with James Blunt, which I'm doing now on the Afterlove tour, is fantastic, but there's no click tracks for James. There never has been, apart from when we went into the studio once. Now, it's interesting because we pretty much rehearsed and played the album throughout the tour. And so we've got tempo maps, as I call them. Sometimes when you get to a James Blunt chorus, it pulls back, it sucks you in. And the reason he does that, I think, is for emotion. And it also draws, it's like a sucking sensation. And it can sometimes make a chorus bigger, especially if you go into cymbals. Whereas the chorus, the verse then might pick up, which seems to be the case with a lot of James songs. So I've learnt to follow his tempo map and learn to how he thinks about things in an emotional way with lyrics and chords and whatever he's trying to create. The same thing on another gig, playing for Robbie Williams. The Take the Crown tour was the first stadium tour. The last one was the Heavy Entertainment show, which was fantastic again. But that gig is on ears because of the sheer size. We have pyros and technical stuff, so it all ties together for a certain reason. It's a big band, and playing outdoor shows like that, it really does make sense. And there's a lot of click track for sure. And even when you play a song that's got a tempo map, you have to learn these tempo maps. So going back to my point, depending on what style of music you're playing, you have to be aware of where to play around this click. So when we finally went in the studio to record All the Lost Souls with James Blunt, we did a track called I'll Take Everything. Now this is quite regimented because it's more of a looped style thing, but still everything that we'd done live through wedges, we then had to do tempo maps for. So we literally had Tom Rothrock, the producer, in the room, sketching out sections and hearing how we were moving, and then he'd relate that to his guy. So we had tempo maps, but even though I've been playing it live, I then had to sit down and play with the click and learn these tempo maps. So it was quite unnerving at the time, just to make sure we got the emotion as good as it was without click. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration about just playing a little bit relaxed and a bit more behind the click. And I'm playing with a piano. This is a track that James sent me years ago, and I just put like a kind of drum loop to it, which is it's very hypnotic sort of beat that's just continues throughout the track with variations. So I'm going to play a fair bit of it so you can tell what I'm doing, and I'll play the whole track a bit later. But this is playing with sustained piano. So if you imagine sustained piano, you want to relax behind it to let the sustained notes go, and the beat can just fall behind it. Sorry, I'm actually thinking about it as I'm describing it. I'll give you a demonstration so you can see what I'm doing. So I hope that gives you an idea of just being a bit relaxed, because it's very easy to race in something like that, but you've got to let the piano take the lead. I keep closing my eyes and dancing, but that's actually the way I think about it. I think it's important to move when you play the kit to a click. It just gives you a bounce, and it can determine how you swing something as well, because I'm playing. I'm not going. It's just about relaxing and making it quite hip-hoppy. So that is, for me, playing a bit relaxed behind the beat. And it doesn't matter if the click drops and the snare might be a bit behind it. It doesn't matter too much. I think it's just a mindset, that's all. And you know, somebody said to me once, and it's a really good saying, when you can't hear the click, you know that you smack on with it, and that's when you might go, oh, I better turn it up. But you don't need to do that. You just got to just lay back a little bit, because there is sometimes when you've got to be on the click, major pop gig, or I've done lots of different pop gigs where you've got to be really in with the programming. So if something's going, you've got to be. I'm going to give you a quick little blast of a Take That track that I recorded, and that was done with Stuart Price, and it was very chopped up sort of feel. So I almost have to play a little bit like a machine, but with touches of reality in there. So I'll give you a quick blast so you get the idea. Really on it. That'll give you an idea of that. It's just a bit more on, intense, and that's because of the way the track's produced. So whether it's studio, live, I hope that gives you an idea to how to approach clicks and get your head around it. But that's my idea of how to understand click. That's it for now.